Dennis Prager has devoted his life to what sound like really corny ideals, to doing good and to fighting evil. So he began his public life at age 21 when he went to the Soviet Union to check on the condition of Jews there. And then he came back and started lecturing in synagogues and other Jewish avenues about the condition of Jews in the Soviet Union. Then he started pitching people, I'd like to talk also about why so many young Jews are turned off to Judaism. Then at age 26 or 27 he published his first book, The 8 Questions People Ask About Judaism. And he was off on his way. Second book was Why the Jews the Reason for Anti-Semitism, another heavy book. Then his third book was going to be Why Don't All Good People Hate Communism? So it was the 1980s. He had a radio show. He was lecturing about the evils of communism. He'd been lecturing on that since the very beginning of his lecturing career, when he had talked about the condition of Jews in the Soviet Union, how difficult it was for them to retain their Jewish identity and to adhere to traditional Jewish practices. And then there was the fatwa put out against Salman Rushdie for his book The Satanic Verses, and Dennis Prager just seized on this moment, just like Christopher Hitchens talks about this moment in his new memoir Hitch 22. That this was like good and evil, that this was a huge deal, that a cleric in Iran put out a death sentence on the novelist Salman Rushdie for his book The Satanic Verses, how important it was to fight this kind of radical Islam. And Dennis Prager was right there, and Dennis Prager during the 1990s often warned about how much of the most evil parts of the world today were run by radical Islam. And then 9/11 happened, and Dennis Prager says that it really dramatically changed Jewish life in the United States, and he relayed this in a lecture, University of Judaism, I believe, his lecture on Deuteronomy 13. He says 9/11 changed Jewish life. Things that I can say in lectures to Jews now that do not elicit hoots and boos and derision. It's unbelievable. Could not talk about Jewish chosenness. That is the notion in the Bible that God chose the Jews for a particular task, to be his chosen people, to be a kingdom of priests and a holy and righteous nation, to kind of show the world a better way to live. Kind of a pilot project for humanity, in the words of Paul Johnson. Dennis notes, nowhere do Jewish audiences now find this belief in chosenness bizarre. Real evil has confronted them. The centrality of Jew hatred in the world has made it evident there may be some truth that Jews walk a different path. Any Jew with any Jewish identity is now prepared to hear this without laughing. I'm stunned, says Dennis. I speak more now in Jewish life than ever before. 62 Jewish communities last year, meaning 2003. I don't take all the ones I'm invited to. And Dennis says, I believe America is hated because it is the one society in history to affirm Jewish chosenness. It is the one Judeo-Christian society in history. You latch onto the Jews and you get the blessings, and you get the hatred of a lot of people. In the Torah, God says to Abraham, I will bless those who bless you and I will curse those who curse you. Many Christians believe this too, that if you support the Jews, you will be blessed, and if you persecute the Jews, you will be cursed. So why did 9/11 have this effect on Jews and not the Holocaust? Dennis says, Holocaust was so overwhelming that the only effect it had on Jews was to depress them. The evil was too great. So he says it's not just 9/11, it's the eruption of Jew hatred and Israel hatred and America hatred in the world. It's all wrapped up together, it's shaking people up. Not only can I say to Jews certain things that I couldn't say before, but to non-Jews. I couldn't talk about America being chosen before 9/11. I would have been dismissed as a kook, set off to some weird radio station. Dennis talks about taking his 11-year-old son to Aaron to Israel in 2002. What a powerful thing it is to go to a country that is a Jewish country. You can't have that experience anywhere outside of Israel. So his son was watching Dragon Ball Z in Hebrew, this cartoon. Helps him know that the Hebrew language is alive. and they went to see the last bus blown up by Palestinian terrorists in which 8 people were murdered and countless numbers were maimed. He didn't have a supercilious attitude. He saw the holes in the seats where human beings were maimed and killed. And he was nervous when you eat out at restaurants, and he was happier when they'd eat at a restaurant where there weren't too many people, because he knew that the terrorists aimed to blow up restaurants that were crowded. Dennis noted this was his 15th trip to Israel. He made a documentary called Israel in a Time of Terror. You can order it from Amazon.com. Dennis says, Israel's always been a religious battery charger for me. I am the battery charger for a lot of people. People tune into me and I charge them up, as Jews, as Christians, as Americans. But I've got to get my batteries charged too. Then Dennis talks about his eldest son David, who went there at the height of the terror, studying yeshiva for 8 months. When he came back, he said, Dad, before I went, the biggest issue in my life was would the Lakers win another championship. Now the biggest issues in my life have to do with God and good and evil. It's pretty good for 8 months abroad. That's what happens when you're studying Torah in a yeshiva, and 3 different times you hear blasts, you hear people getting blown up. Helps you to take life seriously, that there are epic battles going on, and Israel is the fulcrum. Then it says, the trick in life is to learn from the normal. There's not that much to learn from the abnormal. He says that now he always reads the instruction manual whenever he buys anything, because he always finds something useful in it. And Dennis says he looks at the Torah as an instruction manual